Why, hello everybody, it's Histor-Tea Time! Hello everybody, and welcome back for more Histor-Tea Time with your favorite historian. It's me, Miss Mullins. Okay, so today we're going to do something super short. It's Dunkirk. So, for those of you that don't know what Dunkirk is, I'm going to tell you. That's like the point. Okay, so Dunkirk is essentially when the Brits get chased off, and the Allies. It's the Allies, but mainly the British. It's the British Expeditionary Force, and they get chased off the beaches of Dunkirk, which is up in France. So I'm very excited to tell you about it. It's super short, but these details are what change World War II. Probably for the better, because it's what happened. Okay. So on May 27th through June 4th of 1940, codename Operation Dynamo, also known as the Miracle of Dunkirk. So essentially what this was the evacuation of Allied soldiers from the beaches and the harbor of Dunkirk, which is up in northern France. Now, what's interesting is that the reason why this whole evacuation had to happen was because of the surrender of France, and because they just lost all of this territory. The Nazis in the Wehrmacht, which is the German army, they were just moving in, and then the Luftwaffe kept bombing the crap out of them. So they're like, oh my god, we have to get out of here. So anyway, with close air support from the Luftwaffe and radio communication coordinating strategies, the Germans were able to blaze through northern France, and they pushed the British Expeditionary Force, which is the BEF, into Dunkirk, which was the reason for the mass rescue. So the problem was they had so many thousands and thousands of troops that needed help. I mean, thousands and thousands of troops that needed help. And the problem was they didn't have enough ships, just the Brits by themselves. Because if you ever look at a world map, you find that, Britain is right next to France. It's a 2-hour train ride. So, it's... They needed help, though. That's the problem. And so the operation commenced after a large number of Belgian, British, and French troops were cut off and surrounded by German troops during the 6-week Battle of France. Now, if you notice, my video about the Battle of France was more just like France's surrender. A little bit of tea. France didn't really fight. I mean, they did. No, they did. Don't get me wrong, they did. And they had one of the strongest resistance forces in the entirety of World War II. The French resistance was amazing. But they did surrender very, very soon. And they surrendered almost as soon as the Germans were steamrolling through their territory. Okay, so the reason why Dunkirk matters is because Britain asked for help from not only the Royal Canadian naval destroyers, French naval destroyers, but also from civilian crafts, like small civilian, fishermen boats and merchant ships. It's crazy. So, essentially, the military and the civilians would be like, you guys that are not in the military, anybody, you just live near the beach, and then the army or the navy kind of get involved, and then we all kind of come together with our resources and like, hey, we're going to go save a bunch of soldiers because they're going to get chased off the beaches, and they're either that or they're going to get bombed to death. So we don't want that, do we? No. So we're going to go save them. So 400 civilian small ships were deployed by British government in order to aid and rescue the evacuation. Thankfully, it was a success. So yay! But at 3:30 p.m. on May 26, 1940, Hitler ordered the Panzer, which is the German tank forces, the Panzer groups to continue their advance. But most units took 16 hours to attack. So what happened was here, there was a delay. So this was kind of telling you the order, the steps of how everything was happening, okay? This is kind of what led up to the ability to even have a rescue. They were going to actually send in more of the Luftwaffe groups and then more of the tank divisions, and they were just going to bomb the blazes out of these troops and these expeditionary forces. But thankfully, they were stopped for 16 hours. So, ready? Do with me. Hallowed historical moment. It's important because their mess up was our win. So This gave them time to prepare their defenses for the vital evacuation and then prevented Germans from actually stopping the Allied retreat from another French city. Many historians actually considered the failure to order a timely assault on Dunkirk to be one of the major German mistakes on the entire Western Front. So because of this, essentially, let's do a what-if scenario. Let's say they didn't take 16 hours, they only took like 30 minutes. They probably were able to take out most of the Allied forces, and that probably would have led to a pretty either a possible win for the German military in all of World War II, because that would have taken out like 60,000 people, if not more. Like that, it would have been insane if they actually had all of that time and did useful stuff with it. But because they took so long, the Allies were like, oh, we have a window. And that's kind of how it works a lot in World War II. So this is known as the miracle of it's not a battle, really. It's a miracle. It really is a miracle because of the fact that these little moments in time during World War II, you're going to see, it's almost just like by chance, you know, that these things turned in the Allies' favor. And, you know, it's really kind of like, wow, there really was a definitive good and evil, and, you know, forces knew it, and it was not going to win. So it's important, you know. It was known as one of the greatest turning points of the war and one of Hitler's most crucial mistakes because, again, he has the habit. It's good for us. It's good for any of the non-German people, but it's good because it's bad for them. But it's good because we have these windows of opportunities. But what he did was he's conveniently not present, and as the supreme leader of any of the military movements, any Nazi party propaganda, any Nazi, you know, the Wehrmacht, anything that they were doing, it was up to him. He was the Führer, right? That was the whole point of that. So if without him, you cannot make any decisions, you know, unless he specifically says, okay, if I'm not there, then this person is essentially speaking for me. He only had like 2 people that he ever allowed that to happen with. Most of the time he didn't let that happen. So if you watched my video on the surrender of France, you will know that he didn't even like it when it even worked out for them. He told Manstein, who was actually a very successful field marshal and actually made lots of military advances and was the reason why France surrendered. Excuse me, I need tea. Actually, this is coffee. But he told him to stop. He told him to actually stop moving forward, let the Luftwaffe come in, because he wasn't making those decisions. Field Marshal Manstein actually disobeyed Hitler's orders and then rolled through. Even though it was a benefit, Hitler still said, no, don't do that because it's me. I'm the one that's in control. And so that kind of shows his psyche a little bit. So this decision was actually the first of many future mistakes that Hitler made, which caused his own men to doubt him. Now, I will talk about other things later where, especially in the Battle of the Bulge, where there's a lot of assassination attempts on him. And, fun fact, it's by his own people, his own SS officers. They try to kill him. It's crazy, but I'll get to it, don't you worry. Lots of Histor-Tea time left to do. Alright, so I found some really amazing colored footage, probably from the Imperial War Museum and from various other museums out there. Now this is courtesy of Ralph Florino, a awesome YouTuber. Please subscribe to them. They're fabulous for even having this stuff. But I'm only going to show a little bit of it because it's not my video. So anyway, I don't own any of this. This is all for them. Or this is all for you guys, but it's all due to their amazing abilities. So here we go. This is some footage of the Luftwaffe coming in and destroying stuff.
At the outset of World War II, the British sent an expeditionary force into Belgium to help the French push back the invading German armies. But Germany was too strong. With hundreds of thousands of English troops surrounded at the town of Dunkirk, a massive evacuation was planned. It was an impossible task, but amidst the tragedy of loss, there was also the miracle at Dunkirk. This is where the British took their first major stand against the Germans on the battlefront.
So dramatic. Oh, it's so dramatic. Let's just skip that. Okay, those are some bombs from the Luftwaffe. So, lots of really
With their
amazing
light
footage
movable
here.
army, the British take up positions quickly.
As the British moved into Belgium, it was some days before they met the German army. What they did encounter was first the German Air Force. There were initial attacks on British positions.
The movements. And at that time, of course, the Luftwaffe still could provide air cover, so that the Germans were extremely optimistic and convinced that the war was going to be over, that they were going to win it easily.
Just 10 days after the invasion, the Germans had pushed all opposition to the sea.
They had defeated whatever resistance there was. They had destroyed the French resistance in a very short time. The British were running. There was no reason for them not to be ecstatic.
Okay, so that's part. We'll do this part 1, and then we have part 2. Same person, right? Yeah, same person.
With the British surrounded at Boulogne and Calais, Commander-in-Chief Field Marshal von Rundstedt orders his panzers to a halt because of the loss of too many tanks in the advance.
Oh my god. The fact that this footage even exists is insane, and that we were able to restore it is awesome. Good job, digital historians. Oh my god. All that architecture is just gone. That's so wrong.
With all the British troops moving towards Dunkirk, the question remains, how will 340,000 of them be evacuated?
Yes, that's how many there were. So many. So many. Come out. I mean, just to see this kind of destruction is crazy. Okay.
They escape the Calais shelling, but instead they're bombed and strafed by the Luftwaffe.
Oh my god. Oh, that's so scary. Alright. Now we're gonna go to part 3. And yes, this is the same channel. Thank you, Ralph Florino, for letting me use some of your footage. I appreciate you very much. Please like and subscribe to their channel.
47,000 troops now make it out safely.
Woo!
By late afternoon on the 29th, all rescue teams are alerted. Dunkirk harbor is now blocked by damaged ships. Any further evacuations must be conducted from the beaches.
Yes.
In this one day alone, 3 destroyers have been sunk, 6 badly damaged.
That's
The
terrible.
Admiralty, alarmed by the loss, suddenly orders all new class destroyers withdrawn. Without them, the evacuation is in trouble.
Civilian ships. This is where they come in, I think.
Although the panzer divisions have withdrawn,
Those are
units
German
of
tanks.
German soldiers continue to harass the town of Dunkirk.
It's insane.
A total of 861 ships and private craft take part in the operation.
So those
braving
are
a fierce
anything from
bombardment by the
civilians.
Luftwaffe. In the air encounters, which take place over the channel, the Germans lose 130 aircraft, and the RAF 106.
Wow.
87 British pilots dead or captured.
Wow.
Moving over 1/3 troops of all nationalities under close proximity from the Germans.
Look at that, they're literally running from the beaches of Dunkirk.
The Navy and the Royal Air Force was a tremendous feat. The fact that they were assisted by mobilized civilian craft, the legend of the little ships at Dunkirk, which civilians brought boats out, across the channel to ferry troops from the beaches to warships and transports offshore. This
Okay, so essentially what I really wanted you to gather from this, one, that's amazing footage, so that's beautiful. But one thing I really wanted you to gather is that, oh no, one thing that I really wanted you to gather is that it is truly a miracle. It was. The fact that we had so many civilians volunteer, they were possibly going to die too. You know, Germans bombed civilian cities all the time. So the fact that they chose to do this at risk for their own, for their soldiers is really awesome. There was Canadians, there was British, French, Belgian, everybody. Like he said, all nationalities are out there. And it's amazing that they were rescued, that by the thousands that they were. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little episode of all the little deets about, oh, sorry, I'm not cool, all the little details about Dunkirk and why it was so important. And so I hope you tune in next time for, more Histor-Tea Time with your favorite historian. Anyways, goodbye, everybody.